All right, we're continuing our Free to Believe series today with the focus on the impact that the pandemic has had on the ability to exercise our freedom of religion. Joining us now are two religious leaders. Welcome to the show, senior and founding pastor of Calvary Chapel, Chino Hills, Pastor Jack Hibbs, and managing director of the Coalition for Jewish Values, Rabbi Yaakov Menken. Pastor Hibbs, let me start with you. You're out there in California, which has been, frankly, at the epicenter of this debate over church closures. You actually sent Gavin Newsom a letter. Give us an update on how things are going and how you guys have fought back out there.
Well, Sean, thanks for asking. We actually sent Gavin Newsom a letter and about a 12-minute video announcing to him what we were going to do. And in that announcement, we invited all churches in California to open up with us on May 31st. And in doing that, we saw some 1,000 churches join us. We have been wide open since May 31st, so that we're approaching 9 months now. And to give you an example, Sean and Lindsay, we had here last week 13,000 people. We have done this on Sundays and Wednesdays, and there's been no outbreak. There has been no damage. And in fact, the community locally has flourished because of it. But we had to obey God rather than man. It's come down to that issue. The greatest thing that we can say today is that Jesus Christ died on the cross for us, rose again from the dead, that God loves us. People need to hear that. People need to have soul nourishment, soul medicine as well.
I think people are starting to see that we are built to live in community and thrive in community as well. You know, Rabbi, when all these closures happen, I think that people were a little bit shaken that something like this could happen, that our synagogues, that our churches could be closed down. Now that it has happened, do you see another instance when it could happen again? And does that concern you?
Well, it would take another pandemic for it to happen again. I don't think that that's... You know, this is a once-in-a-century event, if we look at history, at least a century, if not much longer. So we're just going to, we have to be resilient. We have to return to our places of worship. We have to return to our places of business. We have to get back going with our lives in a slow and safe manner. And I think that there's been a lot of that resiliency. I've seen people coming back and pushing forward, and we will move on.
Well, Rabbi, I hope you're right. I mean, I think to Lindsay's point, we were talking about this before the show, and the question is, does it set the precedent? Oh, now that we've closed it because of a pandemic, let's, the next time something comes along, maybe it's a natural disaster, maybe it's some kind of economic turmoil or what have you, some kind of national security issue, but the precedent's been set, and I think that's concerning to a lot of folks, that what's the next excuse? But, Pastor, let me kind of move a little. We've talked on the show earlier about this Equality Act that just passed the House of Representatives, which, by the way, is a very deceiving name because it's anything but equal. But the interesting thing about it is that the act is that it has created a narrative from the left that if you consider equality, if you don't support this, then you are a hater or a bigot. Yet, what about the equality of someone's religious beliefs? What about the equality of those who practice what the Bible teaches?
Well, Sean, John Adams said that regarding our Constitution, it was given to us for a moral and religious people, and that it's wholly inadequate for the governance of any other. That's what's happening. We have departed from our Constitution because we have decided to elect to office and to position powers and people who don't care about anyone else who has got a different view. And what they're doing, they are actually replacing a biblical worldview with a man-centric worldview. And so you're going to receive what they have to say or else. And that's not the America that we fought for. It's not the America that the Constitution announces to us to have and to enjoy. But we are having these, in fact, notice since Biden's been elected, it's been nothing but social engineering projects. He's done nothing to advance what's good for our economy or for our culture, but trying to undo everything that President Trump or this nation has been known for. And I, for one, will be a church that stands. We will not waver. I love my country. I would take a bullet for my country, but the fact of the matter is my citizenship is in heaven as a Christian, and I'm going to march to the beat of heaven's drum. And the fact is, Jesus said, I've set before you an open door. He said that regarding the church. I don't have the authority to shut the doors of our church, and our doors will not be shut.
You know, Rabbi, Sean and I were talking about this as well. The teachings of the Bible or of the Pentateuch, some would say that they are bigotry, that they are hate speech. And in this cancel culture world that we're in, it seems that it could be a plausible path to go down, that soon certain platforms, certain groups would say that you are spreading hate speech. How do you address that?
Well, I think we have to stand up proudly and say the truth and push back. If you look for the founding values of American civilization and every first world civilization, look no further than the 5 books of Moses. Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy, and you've got the whole picture for how to build a civilization of people who value human life, who value peace over warfare. These were not Greco-Roman values or Hun values, and what the left is trying to do is not progressive. It is regressive. It is taking us back to anarchy and to polytheism and worship of the self. As the pastor was saying, it's anything goes. But they've gone worse, and they're now declaring you a bigot. They've actually declared today, officially in the House, as of today, the Bible is a bigoted document because the Bible engages in a so-called sex stereotype that marriage is between a man and a woman.
And that's exactly the point that Lindsay and I were talking about. I think you're absolutely right. There is a real fear that if you believe the Bible, if you practice the Bible, if you preach the Bible, that very soon the left is going to say that you are a bigot, you are a racist, and that you need to be canceled out. And that's a real concern. Rabbi, Pastor Hibbs, thank you both for being here. This is obviously a discussion that we need to continue. We look forward to having you both back.
Thank you for having us.
All right, we're going to continue the discussion about the Equality Act with 2 top pro-life activists when we return.